What's up? Dr. Dupe, Coding While Black, episode 92. Coming to y'all the week of Thanksgiving. Turn this music down a little bit. In a pretty good mood. Cowboys won on Thanksgiving Day, so I can watch the games, relax. Had to run out and run some errands on this Sunday, this beautiful Sunday. I guess it's what, the 26th, 27th? I'm not quite sure, but it's episode 92. And I'm rocking to the Michael Jackson channel on XM Radio for a limited time only. They got Mike all day, all night for the 40th anniversary of Thriller. I don't know if I ever shared with y'all. I'm a Michael Jackson fan. So Cowboys and Michael Jackson. But decided to get on here just for a few minutes. I haven't been on here in a while. Been a lot going on. But I want to talk about something that came up. I did a podcast interview yesterday, and it reminded me of something. And that is, this is on any job, but is especially the case on a tech job. You're working at a tech company, you're working on a tech team. And that is your managers. I have been on, as I was sharing on the podcast yesterday, I'm over 30 years in this field. I've had a lot of different jobs. I've done it in a lot of different ways. I realized when I was having this interview, and I may have shared this before, I've never worked on a job for 4 years. Right now, I'm on the longest one I've ever been on, and it's approaching 4 years. Or maybe 4 years is my maximum. I think I might have did 4 years at AWS. But anyway, it seems like it takes me that amount of time to figure out this ain't the place for me. And usually that comes down to a manager. Something else that I wanted to share that I've noticed. Managers change frequently in these positions. When I was at AWS, I had 4 different managers in the span of 2 years. And now I'm at Microsoft, pretty much the same thing, right? I'm on my third manager in less than 4 years. And what I wanted to share is, if you find a good manager, that's a reason, one of the reasons you might want to stay with a company, because they're rare. Most of these managers have no idea what they're doing. Most of them are thrust into leadership because they want to make the extra money. I've always thought that I would be a good manager, a good leader, but I have no interest in doing it. I don't have any interest. I didn't go to school to be a leader. I didn't go to school to be a manager. Just like most of the people who end up being your managers didn't. They didn't go to school to be a leader, no more than a doctor went to school to learn about nutrition, which is why they look at you sideways when you ask them, well, what else can I do from a diet standpoint for gout, as opposed to take some medication that I can't pronounce? They have no idea. Some of them, or even go so far as to tell you that food what you eat doesn't have any effect on whatever ailment you're dealing with, which is absolutely ludicrous. But they just simply don't know. I remember years ago, in the 80s years ago, when I first learned about diet, and I read a book called Fit for Life, when I first learned about protein and how you don't have to eat meat to get protein. And I had this conversation with my nephew who had gone to school to be a dietitian, to learn about nutrition. And he constantly and consistently argued me down about that because that's what he was taught in college. Well, of course, now he eats a plant-based diet because he's done his own research and gathered his own information. My point is this. Most managers that you end up working for either A, have no idea about the work that you're doing, right? Most development managers have never written a line of code, and that's changed somewhat over the years, but most of the time, they've never written any code, right? They've never done the job. They have no idea what the job is like. And second, that's separate from being a leader. That's separate from knowing how to manage. Now, that's changed a little bit, too, in the last 5-10 years at the good companies. The good companies come up with their own leadership programs, and they ask folks who may be possibly interested in leadership if they want to go through some particular training to be a leader. But most of the time, it's somebody who wants to be a manager, and they're stepping into that role because an opportunity arose, because someone else who was in that role left, who didn't enjoy it, who went back to being an individual contributor. And most of these people have no idea what they're doing. And the number one thing that they do the most poorly of is communicate. Most of them cannot communicate worth a damn. And that ends up being a point of frustration for those who work for them, because you're being judged on things you weren't told about. You're being told that you didn't inform them about things that you did inform them about. You have to start doing things like writing these cover your ass emails and writing emails where you copy everybody on people so you can prove that you wrote something. I'm a grown ass man. That's real trivial and childish to me. And so it gets to be tiring, right? It gets to be annoying. But I do it, because that's what I have to do in order to survive some of this leadership I'm putting in air quotes, that don't really know how to communicate, don't really know how to do the job that's been thrust upon them, even if they've asked for it, right? Go get some training if you want to be a manager. Go get some training if you want to be a leader. Same way that I went and got training because I wanted to be a software developer or I wanted to be a programmer. Same reason that I went and got training because I wanted to be someone who knew all about databases, right? Same reason that I'm in a program right now so that I can teach meditation. I'm going to learn about it. You can't just show up and think you're going to do the job. And that's what happens a lot of times at these companies, especially at these tech companies. So what am I saying? Find you a manager. If you find yourself under a manager that don't know what the hell they're doing, and that'll become very obvious to you very quickly, try to get from under that person. Don't let that run you out of the company, but try to get from under that person. If you find a manager that's doing a great job, knows what they're doing, right? Stick with them as long as you possibly can. That's why people leave jobs. I have always gotten a raise when I left a job. I've always made more money, but I've never left for the money. It's because I worked for someone who made the job grueling and no fun, right? And had me doing things I should be spending my time doing. Once it gets like that, that's when I become open to an opportunity. And then I leave, all right? So managers, right? Put that on your list, your checklist of things that you want to be constantly looking at and constantly evaluating about whether or not you want to stay in the role you're in, or maybe you should look for greener pastures. And the last thing I'll say, don't let nobody talk you into why you should stay somewhere that you're unhappy. If a manager is the problem, leave. There's plenty of opportunity out here. There's plenty of businesses. There's plenty of stock options. There's plenty of people willing to pay you. Now, I know me saying that in the midst of layoffs might sound strange, but everybody didn't get laid off. Okay? And what I mean by that is make sure you're doing something valuable, right? And even if you're not doing something valuable, be working on a skill that is valuable. It's easy. Somebody can look at me and say, I'm a trainer, right? How are you making money for the company? Okay, if they decide to get rid of trainers, guess what? I'm going to go write some programs. Happy holidays. Happy Thanksgiving. Episode 92, Dr. Kai Dupe, Coding while Black. Peace.